sauce. Bill Buck, give me the hot sauce. What are you doing, Dragic? Did you not get the memo? Derrick Rose can go upstairs.
Welcome into a brand new edition of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. The Bulls season is now in the books. Stacey's officially on vacation. You got big plans for vacation, Stacey?
Right now, I'm recovering from last night, Marcus. The vacation is not even on the board, not even on the docket right now. I've had to been talking off the ledge a few times. I was at the game last night as a fan. Me and Adam didn't have to work.
Yeah.
So we were in the suite watching the game as a fan, and I was ready to jump off the second deck last night after the first quarter. And I thought they would come back in the fourth. They cut it to 13. They had a little run in them. I said, okay, the cardiac bulls are coming back. Because Miami is notorious for starting off fast in the first quarter.
Yeah,
so,
collapsing down the stretch.
And then collapsing down the stretch. But there was no collapse in them yesterday.
Well, the third quarter, they could have got back into it if they made some shots. I think Miami only scored 17 points. They couldn't make a shot, but the Bulls were almost as bad in that third quarter.
Well, one of the problems is that, one, they forget that the playoffs is a different style of basketball than the regular season. You're not going to get calls. In some way, I don't know why these guys don't understand that. You're not going to get the calls you got during the regular season. You saw a lot of whining and complaining last night when guys didn't get calls. Miami didn't get calls either. They were calling it both ways. It was fair both ways. And then the Bulls didn't attack inside. I mean, it was a lot of jumpers, turnovers. I think Vooch went inside one time last night in the second half and scored a jump hook on Ware, which, that should have been in the game plan from the very beginning, is to get him inside, establish the inside game first, because Miami came out getting back cuts and layups to start the game.
No defense.
Which got them going and got their confidence up that they could beat this team.
Whispers is back. We missed you last week. How was Sunshine State?
No, we didn't, Mark.
We did.
Mark, that's not what you said last week. We didn't.
No love.
He's
no
here
love
now.
at all. Not even a Larry the Lobster comment. And that's
well,
a sign of affection.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say Larry
Some
Lobster.
of your other comments would call HR in for this.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, you look like you're a
where's our
rotisserie
HR?
chicken right now. Look, he's all red. He's sweating.
That's
It's
Clay
raining
right over there.
outside.
You know what he does for HR? He turns his hat around and goes, "What's your effing problem?"
Yeah, well, that's what
That's
you
how.
need here.
That's HR.
Well, that's what we need here, because you come back. Mark said last week, boy, it's really nice to have Whispers gone. And then I said, what are you going to say when he comes back?
Say
I said, what are you going to
Come
say
on
when he
now.
comes back? I'm going to say, hey, it's nice to have you back. We missed you. And he did that. He
Stacey's
called it.
playing
He
his
called
yoga,
it.
his
He called
yoga
it.
ono
He
rule.
called it, baby. He called it, Whispers.
It's so nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm glad you're here, Whispers.
It's your office. Where are we going to go?
Where are we going to go?
Yeah,
We're not paying rent.
you're
We're not
stuck
paying
with-
rent, Mark.
you're
It's
stuck with
free,
me.
baby. It's free, baby.
Yeah.
We
He showed up for the free
For those
rent.
who don't know, this is actually a place of business. Tim's Telluride Studios here. We turned it into our own studio.
Yes.
This is a conference room. This is a place where business is done.
Yes, we're freeloaders.
We don't know what kind of business.
We
but
came in there. We're freeloaders. We came in and we just took over the conference room and we set up here. And
What do
we're
people
squatters. We're squatters.
What
Then
do
we
people
own
who
the
come
place.
in to actually do business say when they see all of Stacey's memorabilia back here?
Actually, they love it.
Okay.
Yeah. Then they get some hot sauce when they leave. It's actually.
Did you ever close a deal because of that?
I think it has worked in my favor. Yes, we leave the mics up and the whole deal. They trip on the cords. It's awesome.
I'm gonna have my attorney call. I might need to get a piece of this action.
That's right.
Hey, you using my name? You cashing in on me?
Name, image, and likeness, baby.
I'm not getting nothing. NIL, baby. I need to get paid.
Why do you think you signed all those photos?
Wow. Okay. We're gonna have to do some investigating. Okay.
Well, speaking of investigating, our man on the scene at the season-ending press conferences today, the best in the business, KC Johnson, kind enough to make some time for us this afternoon. KC, I know that you witnessed what went on last night with the Bulls getting eliminated and then the comments from AK and assorted players. I don't even know where to start. I guess we were talking about it to begin. It's amazing that a team that had finished the year 15-5, had talked about their style of play and their identity, completely lost it in the game they had to win to advance. I thought that the defensive awareness in the first quarter was mind-bogglingly bad.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like they weren't prepared or didn't execute the game plan at all, if there was a good one, because Kobe White said they lack game plan, discipline. I mean, that Stacey and Mark, that's not the team we saw down the stretch. And I thought it would be tough to beat a team 4 times in one season, especially one coached by Eric Spoelstra, but I certainly thought they played better than they did last night.
Well, one of the things that I said going into this game is adjustments. Spoelstra is one of the best in the game as far as making adjustments. And that game a week earlier where you could tell Spoelstra wasn't showing a lot of his stuff. It was kind of a basic, pick and roll, drive and kick situation, 3-point shooting. But going into that game last night, I saw a different Miami team, a different offensive set. It seemed like they saw something, KC, that the game previous where it looks like they went out trying to back cut the Bulls a lot, catch the Bulls sleeping on the backside, getting guys cutting to the basket for easy layups. That first quarter, I think I saw at least 4 or 5 back cuts, especially Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey was getting back cut almost on a regular basis.
Yeah, Josh had a rough start to the game. I think he allowed 3 layups, 2 on back cuts. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it was a layup drill at the start in that first quarter, and that as you said, gave the Miami Heat confidence. And then at the defensive end, we saw this a little bit in that last regular season matchup, but Andrew Wiggins was not himself coming off that hamstring injury. He was himself last night, and him guarding Kobe White, I thought really took Kobe out of his game. Kobe obviously didn't shoot the ball well, but he also had 7 turnovers.
Yes.
There were a lot of times he just drove to the basket. It looked like he didn't really have a plan. He was getting trapped a lot underneath the rim. So just an ugly performance, really, at both ends from a lot of players last night.
I thought Davion Mitchell did a good job on Kobe,
Yeah.
too. I mean, there was one sequence in the second half where Kobe called for a screen roll, but at the last second recognized it was Davion Mitchell and then tried to wave whoever was bringing him up, like, no, I don't want this guy. Stay down there where you are. And then they switched, and then Kobe got mad at the guy who brought him up. I don't remember who it was, but he kind of got a little disappointed that he brought him up.
Is that the one where he got a shot blocked?
Yeah.
At the end of the clock?
At the end of. And so he was like, he didn't want any part of Davion Mitchell. And I thought Davion Mitchell kind of changed the defensive culture of this team this year since he's been there. Like I saw it in the game before when he had a very good game against us, the week before. And I'm like, man, if this guy plays like this in the playoffs, this is a bonus for the Miami Heat.
Absolutely. I agree with you. He played really well in that last regular season game, and then again last night. You got such a luxury when you got Bam able to start on Josh Giddey. I mean, that just gives you matchup possibilities endlessly because you've got a center on ostensibly a point guard, although Josh is more of a point forward. So, yeah, I mean, Eric Spoelstra is one of the best in the business for a reason, and he had a good night, and the Bulls did not. So it was an ugly showing, and You don't want to get too seduced by that 15-5 finish, but they at least certainly played consistently to their identity, and they certainly did not do that at either end last night.
And, of course, the day after is always the opportunity for Arturas Karnisovas to come out, and he struggles in those situations trying to explain, exactly what the plan is for the future. And he asks the fans for patience, which is a tough sell right now because he's 5 years into this. This is the second or third iteration of trying to rebuild this team. What did you make of AK's comments today, and how do you think those are going to be received by the fan base?
Yeah, I mean, they're tired of it. I mean, what he will say, because I've talked about this is his second iteration, just to clarify that, because they obviously held on to that other iteration for as long as they did, and then started making the changes last offseason with the DeMar and Alex trades, and then the Zach trade this season. So that's why he's saying this is only year one of the second iteration. Yeah. That's why he's asking for patience. But yeah, I mean, he's been here 5 years, and they have one playoff series to show for it and no playoff series victories. As far as the strategy, it's asking a lot because he is clearly still against taking a major step backwards. He talks about targeting players with young players with experience. We saw this year that they prioritized chasing a play-in seat over draft positioning, so they just do not want to go through the pain of a full rebuild. They want to try to do this on the fly. And unless you have like Modest become a superstar, Kobe and Josh go to levels that, maybe we don't foresee now, it's going to be tough because you're still going to be drafting unless you get some major luck in the draft lottery. You're still going to be drafting in that 10, 11, 12, 13 phase. And that's a tough place to draft from. They have hit. Obviously, Modest looks like he's going to be a good player at 11. Io's a good player out of the second round. But until you go through more pain, I think this team's going to be kind of in the middle, for a while.
Yeah, and he kind of doubled down with Patrick Williams, said he was a little disappointed in this year, how he played this year. It's year 5. It's year 5. It's not year 2. It's year 5. And I think the most thing that's frustrating with Bulls fans is that it doesn't seem like he's taking any steps to show where he's going to be better. It'll be year 6 next year. And when you're talking about year 6, you're talking about a guy who now is established in the league and his identity by now at year 6. What do you think is going to happen with Patrick Williams next season?
Well, Arturas tried to give him a little cover, obviously. I mean, he did say he had a tough year and that our expectations and Patrick's expectations were higher. So he was realistic in that. He tried to give him a little cover by saying now he's fully healthy and we're excited to see how he learns from this season. But to your point, Stacey, I mean, how many times have we kind of said that? I mean, he has had an injury-plagued career, but I mean, do you even project him as a starter next season? I mean, that's amazing. I mean, we're talking about the number 4 overall pick in the draft, year 6, front court of the future, him and Modest. I mean, right now, Kevin Hurt is probably projected as a starter over him. So, he was a no-show last night in very limited minutes. Yeah, and it's just disappointing because we've all seen the glimpses, but those to me are getting fewer and far in between. You'd like to see more from him. I know Patrick would like to see more from himself. I know he cares and wants to be great, but you just between injuries and inconsistency, you're always kind of wanting more.
Yeah, this is my opinion. I think he desperately needs a change of scenery.
Right, but how's that going to happen, Mark?
Yeah, I know he's got 4 years, $72 million left on that contract that he signed last year. No contract in the NBA is untradeable, but I think the only way you could move him would be in a large deal where he was part of a bigger package. But don't you think he needs to change the scenery? I don't know if it's ever going to work here.
Oh, 100%. But I just don't see, unless, like you said, he's part of a larger package, how you move him. Because to me, I've always said this. I am not as hung up on the $18 million a year because with the cap going up by year 3, even year 4, that's going to be nothing for even a rotation player. 18 million is not going to be, that's going to be a drop in the bucket. But it's the 5 years and the player option that just make that contract difficult for any team to take on. So, but yeah, I completely agree. I think that he would be better served, just like Lauri Markkanen ultimately was better served by a change of scenery. I just don't see, unless he's part of a larger deal, how you move that deal.
Just watching the game last night, KC, it just seemed like Billy was a little slow on adjusting and making adjustments. I mean, that game in the first quarter, you could tell that the group that was out there just didn't have the energy to start the game. And I thought, just being, again, watching the game, that you bring in high energy guys like Justin Phillips out there, and he didn't get to play until like the fourth quarter. I think he got in the game. THT, who's been a very good player for you the last couple of weeks of the season, and it was like he hesitated bringing those guys in. He was kind of set on playing his regular rotation guys, and that game kind of got out of hand in that first quarter. That's what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in general, Billy's not a big in-game adjustments guy. What I think Billy's really good at is getting player buy-in because players respect him, and he's very consistent with his messaging and his personality and his upbeat personality. So I think that's one of his main strengths is, trying to get an identity established and then getting players to buy into that. But in terms of in-game stuff, that's really never been what he's been lauded by. I mean, I like I said before, I think Eric Spoelstra had a great night. I think Eric Spoelstra beating Billy Donovan is probably, reason 7 why the Bulls lost last night. It's certainly a reason, but I mean, there were bigger problems than that. But yeah, I mean, you get to the one and done game, most coaches are going to kind of lean on what has got them there and what they believe in. So I can see both sides of it. I don't probably fault Billy too much for that. I just think Eric Spoelstra had a better game plan, and Miami executed it better. I mean, that first quarter, it just looked flat right from the jump, obviously, between the defensive effort and then the turnovers and Kobe getting trapped down low. It just did not look like Bulls basketball.
Let's get back to what AK said in his end of the season news conference. He mentioned the fact that the Bulls are going to get another good player in the lottery and maybe another player in free agency, which would be the mid-level exception. They won't have the money to sign anybody outright. Would you be shocked if they did something like trade Kobe White? Because they can't extend him off that contract. He wouldn't accept that, so he's going to be an unrestricted free agent in the summer of 26. Would you be shocked if they did something bold like that because they're going to need help in the front court and they got a ton of guards?
I'd be a little surprised just given what they feel about Kobe internally and how much they value him. But that to me is the kind of moves I think you need to be considering. And this is what I'm talking about is they kind of seem set on staying in the middle, hoping for internal development, then having financial flexibility in 2026. But there's no guarantee you're going to get anybody in free agency then. These are the bold, proactive moves that really aggressive front offices make. Now, Arturis has been aggressive before. I mean, no one expected him to do what he did in the summer of 2021 when he did that first remake of the roster he inherited. So maybe he's got a surprise for us, but the guy I heard today that I listened to today sounded like a guy that is going to count on re-signing Josh Giddey, adding somebody in the draft, internal improvement, and then kicking the can down the road to 2026. And look, that projects to me, again, we could be wrong, but that to me projects to be like a 38 to 42 win team again next season. So that's why I think they're kind of stuck in mediocrity for the time being.
Yeah, because if you look at the way the roster is set up now, I mean, you've got some viable assets. Kobe is probably the highest that it could get right now. I mean, coming after the season he's had, especially in the second half, he would be a great piece to try to get better at. Then you got Io's coming off shoulder surgery, who's a lot of people have respect for Io. One of the things I've always said is that we carry too many guards, and we're a smaller team. We play a lot of small ball. And we got away with that with Alex Caruso because Caruso could play bigger than he actually was. And I think they've been set on that because he's been able to play that way. We can trot any guard out there and they can do that. No, you can't because you're giving up size, you're giving up rebounds on most nights, points in the paint. And that's a huge, huge, reason why teams lose. And I just think they need to get bigger. They need to get more athletic at the 3-4 spot. And try to find something out, whether it be in the draft, they get lucky and get that Derrick Rose situation where they only have like a 1% chance to get the number one pick and they grab a Cooper Flag, that would be awesome, but that's not guaranteed.
No, in fact, it's a major, major long shot. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, obviously, and this is where Patrick Williams' lack of ascension really hurts them because you need more size, you need more physicality, you need more athleticism in the front court. I agree with you about the guards, Stacey, but the other weird thing is we know is like three of them ended up on the shelf, right, at the end, Io, Trey, and Lonzo. So it ended up working out because they had a lot of guard depth. But yeah, it's the rosters needs work. And I don't see, unless they make, to Mark's point, unless they make a trade this offseason, I see largely the same roster coming back. One more point about that potential Kobe or speculative Kobe idea of trading him, Mark, is this front office to me seems hung up on getting equal value in their trades. And with Kobe now outplaying that contract, unless you got like a first round pick attached to what's coming back, you're not going to get equal value because he makes like $13 million. So that's another roadblock to me from where I see them not trading Kobe.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of issues going forward. Hearing Vooch talk today, he sounded like he would much rather be on a team that is a legitimate contender. Of course, he has one more year left on that contract at around $21 million. Is that going to be a hard deal to move? Or do you think that, especially since AK, I guess, had been looking for either a first-round pick or some other combination of assets in return, do you think that they may lower their price tag now heading into the summer with Vooch?
Possibly. I mean, especially because you've got three centers under contract, right? And Zach, Jalen, and Vooch, and all of them played well, obviously, this season in their roles. I mean, they had different roles, but that was a little surprising to me to hear Vooch kind of come out that strongly for the first time and say that. I mean, I had some conversations around people on the team that, maybe behind the scenes, I thought that might be his mindset. But, he did say that he also was happy here and being, engaged by the young players. But he also said, my runway's running out and I want to win now. So, there was a very strong talks with Golden State. Do those get revisited? We'll see. But yeah, they've got three centers under contract. And that again, the only way I see them improving drastically or changing the roster drastically this offseason is via the trade market. They've just got too many guaranteed contracts coming back.
Yeah, and you got the looming Josh Giddey contract situation coming up. Now, does the Bulls' mindset change? Even though he had, what did he have last night? 25 points last night. Does their mindset change? Because last night, I mean, I watched him last night, and he got off to a slow start. His defense, it came back to bite him because I thought he got better as the season went along. I thought the effort was there. I thought the focus was there, keeping guys in front, knowing where he's at on the floor. But last night, I'm a big component of, not sitting players at the end of the year. unless you're hurt and you have to sit out, I think 22-year-old, 23-year-old kids should be playing just to keep their rhythm. I thought he looked out of rhythm, last night. He didn't look like himself in the first quarter. And I thought defensively, once he wasn't making his shots and getting where he wanted to on the floor, I thought his mindset slipped a little bit on the defensive end, and that really was exposed by Miami after the first couple of back cuts. I thought they went after him a lot. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give Josh this. Like, to me, he's one of the more self-aware players I've covered, and he owned it today and last night, and he said, look, I'm never going to be confused with a lockdown defender, but where I thought I improved was my physicality and just my aggressiveness, just my effort and compete level at that end. And I know you saw that because I heard you on the broadcast many times say that down the stretch of the season. But last night, that wasn't there. I do give him credit for rallying from an offensive standpoint from those defensive shortcomings last night. The bigger picture with Josh is like, and Artur's kind of avoided this question today twice because it was asked twice, is like, did you learn from the Patrick Williams situation? Because that was a restricted free agency case where the Bulls kind of bid against themselves. I mean, there was some whispers or scuttlebutt. I heard that Charlotte might have some interest, but the Bulls did not really let him play the game. They just threw a number at him. And to me, the only team that projects to have massive salary cap space this offseason is Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Like, is Brooklyn going to throw an offer sheet at Josh Giddey? You need to have done that kind of intel and that background, going into restricted free agency. The flip side is you also don't want to insult the player and the agent, as if you're going to sign this guy to a 4 or 5 year deal to be back in your franchise. So it is a negotiating fine line to walk, but I don't think this front office is always negotiated from a position of strength. And I'm curious to see how they handle Josh's restricted free agency, because he certainly played at a high level down the stretch, but we also saw the start of the season where Billy Donovan was not even using him to close games. So which Josh Giddey are you going to have for the next 4 or 5 years?
But Casey, what if he decides to do a Jimmy Butler and says, you know what, I'm gonna bet on myself. I'll sign the 1 year deal. I don't like what's out there. I'm gonna sign the 1 year deal, and then I'm gonna bet on myself that I'll be an unrestricted free agent the next year and be in the open market with that new supposedly more money coming in during that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a possibility. Just being around Josh this season, I'd be surprised. I know he's happy here, and I know he's feels like he's in the role that fits him. So I know he's more looking for long-term security right now. But yeah, this is why I'm as curious as anybody to see where this negotiation goes, especially the way the Bulls handle the Patrick Williams situation.
I know you got to run real soon. You got other commitments for Chicago Sports Network. One last one from me. Let's hit the positives. If Dallas and Miami win on Friday, the Bulls move up 2 spots in the lottery and improve their odds. So that's a good thing. The other thing, I think we got a really good player in Modest Buzelis. Can you talk about what the growth you've seen from him and maybe what you think his ceiling could be? I know that's hard to tell with a 20-year-old player, but to me, he looks like he's a potential all-star level talent.
Yeah, I mean, you guys both saw it and talked about it on the broadcast too. I mean, to me, what is most impressive beyond what we saw on the court is just what he was like off the court in terms of his desire to learn, his film study, his ability to ask questions, the right questions as the season progressed, and then the edge that he plays with. I mean, everyone talked leading into last night about that stare down after that dagger 3, the last time they played Miami. I mean, he's got an edge to him, and he talks smack out there at times, and he's, when he has a nice dunk or a dagger 3, he lets the opponent know about it, and I don't mind that, especially
me either. I like it.
Yeah. And the Bulls have not had a lot of that. So it's even more refreshing in that regard. So that's the stuff that stands out to me. Everyone can see the athleticism, the potential, but to me, it's more the makeup and kind of the edge that he plays with. And, I talked to him Sunday in Philadelphia. I said, what do you think the playing game's going to be like? And he's like, you know what? I have no idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch film of other playing games, and I'm going to talk to my vets and see what they tell me I should prepare for. And that to me is a, wise beyond your years kind of player for a 20-year-old. I like that approach. So he's both very confident and very humble at the same time. And that's a good combination.
One more question for me. What is going to be the situation with some of the new guys coming back here that were coming over from the trade with Zach, like Trey Jones especially? I know he got hurt. He was playing really well before he got out and got the minutes when Io went out with the shoulder injury, and he showed that he's a very, very good, a really good guard, really good point guard. What do you think his situation is? Do you think he's going to get an offer somewhere else? The Bulls are going to try to, keep him. What do you think with all the guards that we have?
I think it's going to be tough just given that he's unrestricted and can go anywhere, and you already re-signed Lonzo. My thing is, like, if I think the Bulls had known Trey was going to play like this, they might have, maybe dealt Lonzo at the deadline. There was not a great deal out there, but there were deals out there. They would have to take on a little bit extra money past this year to move Lonzo. But, Javon Carter's player option is kind of a sticking point in all this too. I know that Javon, as professional as he's been, wants to play. So, can the Bulls find him a suitor and then maybe free up some money for Trey Jones? He's going to be not expensive, but he's not going to be cheap either, So he's played very, very well. But yeah, I think he's going to be the odd man out unless there's a move to be made.
Whispers, you got anything to say on the way out?
I just wanted to say, KC, it's very nice to see you again, and you're always welcome, unlike how these guys treat me when I walk in. So I just wanted to let you know that.
I appreciate that. And your tan is showing up through the Zoom.
He's running on batteries.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not a real tan.
Yeah, we got to charge him overnight.
Yeah,
we got to plug him in.
He's like a Tesla. We got to charge him up over here.
They can feel the heat coming off me.
KC, we appreciate your help throughout the season. We'll be following your off-season coverage at the Chicago Sports Network. I know all your writer buddies make fun of the fact that you don't write anymore, that you're a
He's
TV
big
guy.
Time now.
You're a TV guy
big
now.
Time
so,
now. KC's no longer writing. He's big time now. He's part of our team now. He's part of our group.
That's right.
I'm right on Twitter.
Yeah, and you did an excellent job this year,
Yeah,
KC. It was
KC,
fun
working with you, and we'll look forward to having you on again around the draft.
Always a pleasure, guys. Have a good show. Thank you for
having me. Take it easy, bud.
Thanks.
KC Johnson of Chicago Sports Network, our guest. Before we go to break, I want to tell you about one of our great friends, one of our great sponsors, Jeff Vukovich, the nationwide agent. Will take care of all your insurance needs, auto, home, and business. He will treat you like royalty. You can reach him at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. The phone number 847-825-4783. And Stacey's probably only going to be singing the jingle once a week now.
That's right, Mark. The Golden Pipes are back. Nationwide is on your side.
Nicely done. The respiratory is clearing up.
Yes. The Golden Pipes. Hey, listen, I was shut down for about 3 days, bro. And now I'm back.
You were like Bill Cartwright for a couple of games.
Yeah. I was like, you got to do it. Hey, we got to get this win. Let's do it, team. Let's go. Go Bulls. Yeah, seriously, man. I was dying in the last 2 games of the year. I was like, I almost called in sick. But I thought about Lou Gehrig. What would Lou Gehrig do? Lou Gehrig would show up for work. The Iron Horse.
The Iron Horse.
The Iron Horse. I showed up.
Well, we got other things to talk about basketball-wise. Of course, the playoffs start this weekend. We'll take a look at some of the series. We'll take a look at who might be the best two-way players to have an impact in the playoffs. That and a whole lot more coming up on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Our thanks to KC Johnson for taking time out of his busy schedule to join us here on Gimme the Hot Sauce. Stacey, it's funny. You were at the United Center watching the game, but right afterwards, it was the Kings against the Mavericks, and the game was exactly the same. It was a blowout by halftime. And watching Zach and DeMar again go out, it just was weird. It's like the Bulls lost, and then the Bulls West lost. Then Brian Windhorst was on NBA Today this afternoon, and he was just ripping the Kings organization as being one of the worst in all of sports, mostly for firing Mike Brown, and then they fired their GM today, but saying, how could you think that something that didn't work in Chicago over a long sample size was something that we had to bring here? And then I guess Domantas Sabonis in their exit interview said, well, we need a point guard. And they got rid of De'Aaron Fox. Wow. So, totally turned that thing upside down. Now Sacramento, of course, is going fishing just like the Bulls.
Well, and I saw the owner yesterday sitting on the floor seats, and he pounds PJ Washington and gives him some dap.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I've never seen that before in my life. The owner of the team that's getting beat,
you don't do
that. Gives a pound to the team that's beating us. Yeah. Like you don't see owners interacting with other team anyway. And he acted like he was a fan of the Mavericks. And then you want to know why you're struggling. Your organization is struggling right now because there's no leadership. Yeah. When you're firing everybody, the coach of the year. You're firing a general manager to put this team together that got you to playoffs first time in 16 years. and they have a down period because you fired the coach. There's no discipline there. You wanted a coach, and I like Doug Christie. I think it's unfair to put all this on him. Maybe he wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
And he's forced into a bad situation when your star point guard doesn't want to be there. He wants to be traded. They move him. Now he's being, they're playing without a point guard. You're playing Monk at the point guard position. And though he's a great, rotational player, good six man, he's not a point guard. And you take him away from what he does best. And that hurt them. And then Zach had to play some point guard, later in the season. That hurt him. So, yeah, you can see why that ship is sinking and, people are trying to get a life jacket and get off the boat.
So now Dallas advances to a game against the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis Friday night. If they win that game, they will be the 8th seed, and they'll play the Oklahoma City, which, whoever wins that's probably going to get swept anyway. But Dallas looked good. I mean, Klay Thompson, kind of rekindled his past. He made some threes. And Nico Harrison had that infamous no cameras press conference where he told people that defense wins championships. You kind of could see, though, what the vision might have been if Kyrie Irving had been healthy. I mean, that I don't think they would have won the West, but they would have been a competitive team out West.
I think it was the worst trade in history. I still think that's the worst trade in history. I think you could have gotten, if you were going to move Luka for whatever reason that they decided they'd come up with, because they made up all these different reasons. One was that, he wasn't in shape and all this. Yeah, listen, if you're going to move a generational talent like Luka Doncic, you get the most you can for him. You go to Oklahoma City, you go to Stan Presti and say, look, this is the Oklahoma City killer. He's knocked you guys out numerous times. You guys can't do anything with this kid. So what do you have? All those 35 picks that you have in the vault, we want 10 of those. And we want at least 4 unprotected. And then I want my choice. We'll let
Give
you
me Chet Holmgren.
We'll let you keep SGA, but we get a chance to pick the players that we want to come back in that trade.
With the Lakers, they should have insisted Reeves be in that deal,
But that situation, if David Stern was alive, okay, David Stern would have nixed that trade. That was a really, if you nixed the Chris Paul trade when he got traded to LA, okay, and you think he would let this trade go through? Absolutely not. Would never happen. So if you're Oklahoma, if you're Dallas, you want to get the most for what your asset you're giving away. Anthony Davis is on the wrong side of 30. I like AD. I think AD is still one of the top defensive centers in power forwards in the game, but his track record proved he can't play a full season. And whatever you feel about Luka always showed up. Luka always showed up to play. He loved Dallas. When the Lakers came there, you saw it in his face. You saw the emotion that he had. He loved the Dallas Mavericks. He loved the city of Dallas. The fans loved him. Dirk Nowitzki has nothing to do with the Mavericks right now. Cuban has nothing to do with the Mavericks right now. They have distanced themselves, and it's been very obvious what they've done. They're upset about the Luka trade. So, this Nico Harrison guy, I mean, he can say whatever he wants to say. He can keep doubling down on, this is the greatest trade we ever made because we got deep. Okay. You're in the playing game, buddy. You're in the playing game, and now you got to go play against a Memphis team, which is not a bad team. They should be Golden State.
Ja might not play, though. He rolled that ankle pretty good the other night.
Well, that's the only way they're going to win. And I wouldn't even say that. I mean, Dallas is getting all their guys back. And they're getting their bigs back, Lively's back, Gaffer's back. That also helps because they were going into the playoffs limping. Mm-hmm. So now they've got their front court back. Take some pressure off Anthony Davis to be the one guy out there to rebound and block shots. Now you got these other guys coming out. Now it's just a matter of can Klay Thompson continue to find the fountain of youth? Can he continue to make shots? I'm telling you, the kid, I think it's Brandon Williams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That kid, that just goes to show you, and teams who sleep on the G League.
He was in the G League last year.
There's a lot of G League players just need an opportunity. This kid had 17 points off the bench against the team the other night, and he was one of the main reasons why they were able to win that game. He is a dynamic. He's a poor man's Kyrie Irving. He can handle the ball. He can get to the basket. When he came here and the Bulls played him a couple of weeks ago, I was just like, oh my goodness, where'd they get this kid? Where'd they find this kid at?
Yeah.
And he made a big impact in his first playoff game.
All right, so the playoffs start. We're not going to go through every series, but let's start with the Eastern Conference. What series do you think is the most interesting in terms of the matchup?
Orlando and Boston. People are going to laugh at me. Orlando, had to fight their way into the play-in situation, but they are a very good defensive team, and they have the size, the athleticism, and if their bench comes to play like they did against Atlanta, they can give Boston some trouble. Boston will still be favored in that series, but they've beaten Boston twice this year.
Yeah.
You know, and if Franz Wagner and Banchero, if they play like they're capable of playing, like all-star caliber players, and then you get some contributions from a third guy. You know, Cole Anthony came off the bench, and Anthony Black played well, you know, and they defend like crazy. They've got the size to match up against Boston's forwards. They got guys that can rotate on Tatum and Brown and cause them problems. People are forgetting about how good a defensive player Jonathan Isaac was. Jonathan Isaac is still an elite defender. At 6'11", he can guard anybody on the floor. You can put him on Tatum. You can put him on Brown. Mosley's got a lot of different people he can run at those guys. I would watch that series and would not be surprised if Orlando wins that series. I'm not saying they're going to win that series, but I would not be surprised if they win that series.
So we got Indiana, Milwaukee in the 4-5. In the 3-6, it's the Knicks and the Pistons. The Pistons, the surprise team of the NBA this year. Whispers, what series do you like in the East?
I like what Stacey was picking because Orlando, the fans are even behind them with their signs up, bring on the Celtics. And so I think they're going to have a lot of energy, and it's going to show up in that series.
I think the Milwaukee-Indiana series is going to be fun because they played last year, and Giannis was hurt. Now, this year, Damian Lillard had the issue with a blood clot, but he was cleared today to resume all basketball activities. He won't play in Game 1, but he should be back at some point in the series. It seems, though, Stacey, that Indiana, their style is like a poison to Milwaukee. They play fast, and Milwaukee really has trouble keeping up with them.
Yeah, Milwaukee's older. I mean, you look at a guy like Lopez. You know, he's very good in a half-court game, and playoffs become half-court. But you still got to run. Teams are still going to do what they do. Indiana's going to push the ball, try to play at a high pace, get as many shots as possible. Halliburton's going to push the ball, get in the lane, find shooters. This is a tough matchup for Milwaukee, especially if Dame Lillard is not healthy. Because you got to remember, he's missed some games now.
Yeah.
His conditioning may not be where it needs to be to play against a team like this in the playoffs. So he may not be 100%, as far as physically 100%. So that's got to be a concern for Milwaukee. Giannis is going to be Giannis. Giannis is going to do everything he can to try to, lift his team, but he's going to need other guys to contribute. This is where those games where you say a Chris Middleton would have helped out, if he would have been there. Chris Middleton always was that second guy or third option for them that could get buckets, and now with Dame being out, you can really lean on him. Who are you going to lean on now?
Yeah, and they made the trade for Kuzma, and their numbers are much better with him off the court than on. So that kind of tells you what Kyle Kuzma is. He can score, but he doesn't help you. He's not a winning guy.
Well, I mean, if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan, you might want to kidnap him. Just see him walk into his car, just grab him, put a potato sack over his head, and just, what's that movie, Celtic Pride?
Yeah, Celtic Pride.
Milwaukee Buck Pride. Just kidnap Kyle Kuzma. Don't let him go to the game, and your chances of winning the series.
You are not getting into the arena.
Your chances of winning the series are much better.
Well, they got Portis back too.
Yeah, that's helped them a lot. No question. No.
Well, and Portis, that's another thing. Portis has missed a lot of games, a lot of conditioning. So that's got to be a concern with the Bucks. And you're playing an Indiana team that when they decided they want to play defense, they can get after you because they got something. Naismith is a good defender. Siakam is a good defensive player. Turner's a shot blocker, rim protector. And don't forget, here's the X factor, America. T.J. McConnell. Yeah. I know you. If you're not familiar with that name, America, T.J. McConnell's a thorn in anybody's side. That kid comes out there and plays, and he'll play 15 minutes, and his plus-minus numbers will be 14, 15 plus. And he comes out there and does all the little things. Keep an eye on T.J. McConnell.
In the West, we got a lot of interesting series. You got the Lakers, Minnesota, which should be a lot of fun to watch. Yes. Of course, Luka put the Timberwolves out last year when he's playing for Dallas. Now he's with the Lakers. The 4-5 matchup is really good with Denver and the Clippers, and you got Houston playing the Warriors. So which one strikes your fancy there?
I'm looking at the Minnesota Lakers because you don't know which Minnesota team's going to show up. Yeah. That's what's scary about them. If they come out and focus and locked in on what they're supposed to be doing, Anthony Edwards decided he wants to be great, and Julius Randle can play some defense and rebound and accept being that second guy instead of trying to be 1A, they could give the Lakers problems. I still think the Lakers have too much for them. But if you were to tell me that Minnesota would beat them, let's say 4-3 or win the series, it wouldn't shock me because they are very capable of doing it. They have the players to do it. They've got, they defend, they rebound. It's just that sometimes, they kind of fade off a little bit. They kind of fade off, and you're like, wait a minute, this is the same team we saw.
Yeah, you don't know what you're gonna get from night to night. What do you like in the West?
Houston Warriors. Let's get the
Yeah, that should
youngsters
be
against
good.
the grandpas and
With
see how
their
it goes.
defense, that I think
Yeah.
I saw a stat today that Steph Curry's shooting 25% when being guarded by Amen Thompson,
Yeah.
and he's going to get him for the whole
Yeah.
series.
I'm telling you right now, I've been telling people about Houston. Do not be surprised if you see Houston get all the way to the finals of the Western Conference. And it depends who they play, because styles make fights. So I don't
play the Lakers in the second round.
Yeah, so I think they can beat the Lakers. I really do. I think they can beat the Lakers. I think that the way they defend and their coach is tough. And I've always said this about the game: your players are the extension of the coach. People always say, who's the leader of the team? They always want to yell at a player. They always want to say a player. This guy's the Michael Jordan was the leader of the team. No, Phil Jackson's the leader of the team. He's the one that puts everybody in a position to succeed. Your coach is your leader. Your coach, if you watched Spoelstra last night, Spoelstra gets up, he's all up, and he's yelling plays, and the players are feeding off the coach's energy. So when you see these coaches standing up and they're doing their thing, the players feed off their fireness. It didn't work for Mike Malone, because then the players said, from what they said, it was like, he's too tough and hard for us. Okay, you only won a championship with the guy. Championships are not easy, man. This is the NBA. This is not a boys' league. This is your job to perform. You have a boss, which is your coach. Your coach is going to push you. His assistants are going to push you. This is what you need to expect. Some of these kids don't want to be coached. They just want to just roll the ball out there, and it's like they're playing in a summer league game. And it doesn't happen. The good coaches, they can get on their players. Good coaches can get on their players.
Yeah, and remember the Rockets coach, Ime Udoka, had been in Boston. He was not fired for basketball reasons. That was more of a HR situation that cost him his job there. He helped develop those guys, Tatum and Brown, to the point where they were able to that was his team that ended up winning the championship last year. And what Stacey was talking about Amen Thompson leads us into our next topic, which the last couple of weeks we've had some fun talking about which players you'd like to have going into a playoff series. Tonight we're going to focus on defensive guys. And the guy who's really helped Golden State win 4 championships, of course, is Draymond Green. He's made all-star teams. He's considered a future Hall of Famer because of what he's done on the defensive end of the court. He doesn't score a lot of points, but the intangibles he brings makes him so valuable. So we're going to take a look at some other guys around the league that maybe be able to contribute championships like Draymond did. First of all, let's start with Draymond. He's a guy that doesn't shoot the ball well at all. He doesn't look to shoot at all. But I think the whole thing with Gimme in there now has really kind of freed him up to be, kind of just see where he needs to contribute. And I think that's really helped him a lot.
Well, he's slowing down as he's getting older, because he used to, guard pretty much anybody on the floor. But he's still an elite defensive player. I think where his value is, there's 2 things that he does well. Is his help defense and talking in the backside, letting everybody know where they need to be going. And then his playmaking ability, getting guys easy shots, getting Steph Curry open on those screens. It always seems no matter what defense you throw at Steph Curry, he's always open. Like, I've never seen a guy who everybody knows is going to shoot the ball, but he's always open. And it's a lot because of Draymond Green.
All right, so we got some other guys that are going to have some impact in the playoffs. If you're watching on YouTube or watching us on the Chicago Sports Network, you'll see those pop up on your screen. If you're listening to the show as you're driving along or whatever you're doing in your daily activities, we'll mention who we're talking about in terms of comparing them, their potential value to Draymond Green. So who we got first, D? Asar Thompson with the Pistons. They get the Knicks, and those Thompson twins are tough on the defensive end.
These Thompson twins are elite defenders as young players. They are elite level. I would not be surprised if you don't see both or at least one of these guys on the all-defensive team. Mm-hmm. They can guard anybody on the floor. They're 2 guys that teams don't run plays for, but they always seem to fill the stat sheet with points, rebounds, assists, steals. They do it all. And seeing this kid guard Kobe White, I was highly impressed that he got over screens. He didn't get locked up. He stayed in front of him. He contested shots. He's going to be a guy in a couple of years. He's going to be one of the best 3D players in the league.
You think they try to put him on Jalen Brunson?
Oh yeah, he's going to guard everybody. He's going to guard Brunson, Mikal Bridges. You may even see him on Cat sometimes on switches. He's going because he's got good size. Yeah. He's not a small kid. He's like 6'8". And he's got length. He's got he's quick, cat quick. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised you don't see him on pretty much anybody.
D, who you got next? The other Thompson.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about
Yes.
Amen Thompson and how he's really frustrated Steph Curry because Steph likes to run around screens. He's constant motion, but this kid, Amen Thompson, will not let him get any airspace.
Well, both these, as I said, both these guys, the Thompson twins, they have come into this league defensive ready. They when they were playing their G League team, you heard a lot of people talk about how good they were defensively. Especially being so young, having a mindset to stop people, and they take it personal. This kid, they're both like mongooses. You know how quick mongooses are, like a cobra can never hit them. They're so quick, and they end up killing. That's how they are. When you try to set a screen on these guys, their bodies contort to get over screens. They're like Herb Jones from the Pelicans. They just know how to navigate through screens. You never get a clean shot on them. And if you do, it's going to be an offensive foul because they marry themselves to the ball handler and they get right up in your chest. They're not afraid to get face to face. They don't need a step off. They're going to deny you the ball and they're going to get in your face and they're going to cause you problems all night long. You're not going to be open and you're going to get frustrated.
Yeah, and don't forget, Houston was the 2 seed in the West, so this is not a team that's a fluke. They're going to be a really good match for the Golden State Warriors. All right, D, what do we got? Luguentz Dort, one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. You got him and Alex Caruso, Jalen Williams. I mean, Chet Holmgren. They got so many guys that can play defense on that team. That's why they had the best record in the league.
Well, this is the guy they're touting as Defensive Player of the Year. First team all defense. He's a lockdown defender. You can put him on any guard position, any small forward, point guards. He will lock you down. He's very physical. He's a big guard. He's kind of built like a linebacker, and it's amazing how well he moves. When he's guarding guys and he's being picked and screened, not only does he get over the screen, he goes through the screen. Like guys don't want to set a screen against him because he's about 220, and so when he comes through a screen, you feel it. So now big guys who come in, they want to slip the screen because they don't want to get hit by him. But he's a very good defensive player, and if the Thunder get to the finals and win it all, it's going to be because they've been the best defensive team with the best individual defensive players in the game.
Yeah, they got great size on the perimeter with Dort and SGA and Caruso, and then Jalen Williams at the 3. I mean, it's a team they can switch. They can cause a lot of havoc. They force turnovers. D, what do you got? Evan Mobley and the Cavaliers. We haven't even talked about Cleveland. They're going to get, the winner of the Miami-Atlanta game, most likely Miami. Mobley is a guy that's been touted for Defensive Player of the Year. Got good height at 6'10", 6'11". He can block shots, and he can hold his own in terms of one-on-one defense.
Yeah, he's starting to take that next step, and his offense now is catching up with his defense. He's a valuable asset to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Jared Allen is also no slouch. I mean, both those guys could be up there for, all defensive team. But this is a guy, not only can he guard people, he can switch out on the pick and rolls with point guards where most big guys have a hard time moving their feet after 2 slides. He's able to continue his footwork 3, 4, 5 slides. And if you're doing that as a big, that is huge for your defense because most bigs can only slide 1 or 2 steps and then the guard gets around them. You're not getting around him or Jared Allen.
D, what do we got next? And Jaren Jackson Jr., another player who kind of fits in that same mold. We don't know if Memphis is even going to get into the playoffs, though. They got to beat Dallas on Friday night.
Yeah, but I tell you what, he's special. I mean, he rebounds the basketball. He blocks shots. He's a rim protector. He can switch out on pick and rolls. He's athletic enough to stay in front of any smaller or quicker guys. They got to get him more involved on the offense. They become a little bit too much perimeter oriented. If they're going to win, if they're going to beat Dallas, they're going to have to, get him more involved in the offense because he can score. He can put up some big numbers on offense, but his defense is really what makes it go. But he's even more engaged, Mark, when you get him involved on the offensive end. When he's not involved in the offensive end, he kind of floats around and he's not as engaged.
And, of course, if they don't make it, Anthony Davis will be the guy that's going to be in the playoffs. And, of course, he came over in the Luka trade. Davis has been hurt so much. He's missed playoff games in the past, did win the one championship in the bubble with LeBron. If Dallas makes it, they've got some big-time size up front with him, and Gafford, Lively. They've got a lot of size up front.
Well, if he can stay healthy, they need to put him in bubble wrap. Make sure, when he comes out of the car, he's bubble wrapped and you get him to the locker room. But when he's healthy and he's engaged, he is one of the better defenders. He could be up for Defensive Player every year if he played 82 games. He's that good defensively. He blocks shots, he rebounds, he alters shots, he can switch. That's where the game has come now because there's so many pick and rolls, Mark. you have to have your bigs be able to stay in front of guards and allow your defense to get set. If your big is getting beat because he can't move his feet, it's a domino effect. Now the guard gets around the big. Now you got driving kicks. You got three-point shooters wide open. The best teams in this league, their bigs can guard people on the perimeter. They can move their feet and slide their feet. They got quite a few of them. Gaffer can do it. Lively can do it. They've got 3 bigs that you can actually get out there in a pick and roll situation and switch and defend.
Do we miss anybody? Oh, yeah, Pascal Siakam. I tell you what, that move for the Pacers to get him has really kind of rounded out that group because he's a guy that can score but doesn't have to take a lot of shots. He's not a high-volume scorer, and he will get in your face defensively.
Well, and they're going to need him because he's going to have to guard Giannis sometimes. And he's done a pretty good job, when he was in Toronto guarding Giannis. He's got the size, the length, he's got the quickness to help, to be able to stay in front. And then you got the backside, you got their back guy back there that can block shots. So you got help back there if you get beat off the dribble because Giannis his mid-range game has come along really, really well. And you got to respect that now. Before you was like, let him shoot. Now you can't because he can knock down that little 15, 18-foot jump shot. This is a guy that can stay in front of him and make him have to put the ball on the floor. And then you get him, put him on the floor and drive. And now you got Obi Toppin back there. You got Miles Turner.
Yeah.
You got guys that you can help him block his shot. So he'll be big. Plus he can score too.
And the name of the future to watch is Victor Wembanyama. When you talk about two-way impact guys, he would have been Defensive Player of the Year if he hadn't had the blood clot issue because he didn't play enough games to win that honor. But this guy is going to be a monster. Can you imagine if they win the lottery and they get Cooper Flagg to play with?
That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Pop, they got this one. How'd they get that one? they got 3 generational centers in the lottery.
Yeah.
So how does that happen? you get David Robinson, you get Tim Duncan, and now you get this kid. And then you turn around and probably get a generational power forward. If they do that, then I'm saying the draft is rigged. There's somebody froze the envelope or somebody put only one number in the ping pong things. It's just one number. The rest of them are like blank, and they got number 3. And they just pick there's 53 balls in there. They grab one. 3, San Antonio. Oh, they won the lottery. Yeah, I know what they're doing. If they win this lottery, we got to do some investigating.
So, Bulls fans, you got to root for Dallas to win and Miami to win on Friday because I mentioned the Bulls would move up from 12 to 10 and their lottery percentages would go up. So that's what we're hoping for on Friday night. A lot of people are saying Boston, Oklahoma City in the finals. What's your pick?
That's not a foregone conclusion.
No, but I mean that's the popular choice.
That's the popular choice because they won it last year. It all depends on Porzingis. If Porzingis is not healthy and he gets hurt and because he's been known to do it. Been known to get hurt, walking out of the shower, slipping on a bar of soap, walking and going to, Culver's to get a hamburger. It's been known to get hurt.
You think Porzingis goes to Culver's?
I think he does. I think he knows all about Culver's, But he's a guy that you have to watch out for. Something always happens, to roll of an ankle or whatever.
Yeah.
When you look at it,
Jaylen Brown's kind of banged up. He's not
100% yet. He's not 100%. New York. I'm New York. I don't know, man. I'm leaning more towards Cleveland because Cleveland, the 2 guards, have figured it out. Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland have figured out how to play with each other. And now once they figured it out, everyone's involved. Guys are involved. The big guys are involved. Their bench is pretty good, solid. They went out and got the kid from Atlanta, DeAndre Hunter, because they knew that at some point they may face Boston. They were looking ahead, so they went out and made that trade. They didn't have to give up Okoro, their other small forward. So then you bring in Javonte Green.
And Ty Jerome was really
Ty Jerome has played really well for them as the backup point guard. But you got 3 forwards, and not to mention Dean Wade. They got 4 guys that can defend Tatum and Brown. They can rotate off of, and they were thinking ahead when they were doing this. And then you got those rim protectors in the back. Mm-hmm. So if Boston's not making shots, I'm telling you, Cleveland could beat them.
Well, before we get out of here, we're going to do our favorite segment. What are we watching? Whispers, why don't you start us off?
Watched Adolescence.
Okay. Netflix?
Yeah, I can't get that time back. It
was one of those shows, huh?
Yeah, it just ends all of a sudden. You're like, wait, that's it? You're like clicking because usually the bar goes across next episode. I'm like, where's
how many episodes is it?
4, an hour each. And it's
never get that time back.
Really tough.
What is it about?
Heavy British accents. It's a 13-year-old is accused of murdering a girl his age, stabbing her to death in the UK after like a school party. And then it starts off with him being arrested and the police coming to the house, yanking him out there, questioning kids at the school. And you're like, oh, this is going to be good. And then it just keeps getting slower and worse and worse. And then it just ends. You don't even know what the conclusion
You
is.
go from adolescence to old age by the time you've watched all the shows. Right?
Yeah. And then I'm like, wait, where is it? They didn't finish this. And then it was just over. I'm like, you can't get that time back. And so it's an enthusiastic 2 thumbs down.
Yeah. -2 stars from
Negative 2
Whispers.
stars.
What do you got, Stace?
Mobland on
Yeah, that's
Paramount with the great Tom Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that? That's the wrong thing.
Is that John Travolta?
That's a different
That's a
Mobland.
different-
But it's on
Okay.
Paramount Plus, yeah.
It's on Paramount Plus.
Rival gangs.
Rival gang. It's you got Tom Hardy, you got Pierce Bronson.
Yeah.
The lady is what's her name? The older lady.
Helen Mirren?
Ella, yes. Yes.
Yeah, Tom Hardy's
And-
the fixer for
Yes.
one of the rival
Yes.
gangs.
He's well.
I haven't seen it, but you said old ladies.
He, some of the people in that.
Plays for 1,000, Alex.
That's
So-
terrible.
That was pretty good. You automatically went to hell.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah. There's
Helen Mirren.
wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ellen Mirren is her name, right?
Helen.
Helen Mirren. Yeah, how old is she? Like 80?
You know, she was a sex symbol when she was younger.
I
Did you
know. I
that?
saw some pictures of her. She was
Yeah.
hot.
Yeah, she had it going on.
She was hot.
Look at
it's-
D
it's
trying to
too late.
search. Yeah, you got it.
It's,
That's it.
It's too late, buddy. It's over.
Oh man.
Oh
There it
God.
is.
Okay. Anyway, it's 3 episodes in now. Tom Hardy can play anything.
Yeah, he's
Tom Hardy
really good in
is
that.
a great actor. Pierce Bronson is great as the main
Yeah.
boss in this
Kinda
Irish
crazy.
English mob. And then there's another guy who plays a great bad guy always. He's a great bad guy. He's the other side of the other mob.
Yeah.
So it's about
Stevensons.
it's about drugs and it's awesome. It's Stacey King pick of the week. Watch it.
There's a show just started up on Apple Plus. It's called Your Friends and Neighbors. The premise of this is really amazing. John Hamm plays a guy who was a Wall Street tycoon, a great stock trader, made millions and millions of dollars. He gets divorced, and then he gets fired for sleeping with a lower employee, and he loses everything. And so instead of trying to get another job, which he's kind of been blackballed in the industry, he decides he's going to start stealing from all his neighbors. Expensive watches and jewelry and stuff, and hawking it. So that it's only a couple episodes in, but old Don Draper playing a different role here. So it's a fun show. It's a different twist. The fact that somebody could be driven to that kind of desperation, that he's stealing from all his rich friends because he's kind of lost everything.
I think it's something that happens all the time.
Well, I don't know about,
I don't know about all that.
stealing, but
Yeah.
people do lose a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the decline and then, trying to protect that decline. Yeah. I think it happens all the time.
So that's on Apple Plus. Check it out. You want to tell the folks how they can get some hot sauce? Barbecue season?
Yeah, Mark, you just get on GimmeTheHotSauce.com. Use the codes, free shipping, half off the barbecue because it's that season. So get there and use the codes.
Whose phone is going off?
It's mine.
That's a fine.
That's a
that's
serious
fine.
fine.
Call the
HR.
FCC.
Snatch his butt out of here, man. Jeez, you don't bring your phone to work.
Are you serious?
Who's calling?
We'll get Christopher Walken to pay your
my
fine.
wife can't
All
find her key and start her car to leave work. So-
Oh, Maureen, he threw you under the bus, honey.
I think
Oh.
somebody broke into your home and stole all your watches. I think that's what it
Yeah.
was. Don Draper.
Yep.
Well, they threw eggs at his Tesla.
Yeah.
I saw his
Well,
Tesla. out
you've
there.
had a lot of problems with that. We talked about that. in the
Right when I
previous
got
show.
home, there was a guy in an intersection, came across it. He must have been 80 years old with his wife in the car, puts on the window of the bird out the hand, and he almost crashes then. He's like, hey, yelling stuff at me. Like,
Wow.
Well, you're driving a silver tank. Let's face
well, I
it.
first think, oh, he must know me. And I'm like, oh, wait, it's the car.
Wow. do you honestly, do you see that a lot?
It's every other day at least, yeah. People are
I
nuts.
just hope they don't go from a verbal to a physical confrontation with you.
Yeah.
Because that would be a disaster. Because
Scary
Tim,
times.
Tim will choke you out. So and for anybody out there right now,
Don't mess
hey,
with
Let
Tim.
me tell you something. You think Whispers is soft? I'm telling you right now, try him. And it'll be the worst mistake of your life. Because
Well,
he
that's
whispers, but he won't be whispering when he's kicking your ass. He's going to be telling you, he's going to be kicking
Oh,
your
he
ass and
whispers
telling
your
you about
ear.
it. So I'm just telling you. He can throw them hands and he will choke you out. He's only been knocked out once, but that was by what was the guy's name? The vampire guy?
Andre Arlovsky?
Yes, Volosky. What's his name? Volosky?
Andre Arlovsky.
Arlovsky,
He was
the UFC fighter. He's a
heavyweight
world champion. That's the only person to be able to put him on his back.
Yeah, he sure did.
And his wife.
Oh, I knew he was going there.
Yeah.
He couldn't resist that.
Couldn't help
he
it,
set
huh?
himself up.
Well,
you knew he was going there.
He just had the timing, the pregnant pause, and bam, there it was. All right.
Olivia Munn has John Hamm on his back in that show.
Oh.
Olivia Munn is his outside interest there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I need to get home and get on my back. Right. I'm calling you, little mystery woman.
I think
I'm calling you, mystery woman.
Last couple minutes will be edited out.
No,
the Chicago Sports
the
Network
truth is out there, baby.
Show.
We like to be on our back.
Well, I think we've got enough damage here. I want to thank you so much for listening and watching. I want to thank KC Johnson for joining us today. I want to thank D for coming in, bringing his son Mateo in. Mateo's a good sport. Making a little bit of noise back there.
How old is he? How old is Mateo? He's 9 months, and he ate a piece of pizza that he's got 8 teeth. he's a little piranha. He's eating everything right now. Good job, Mateo. He was over there on the boards. He was over there working the boards. It's bring your baby to work day. That's right. That's right. We didn't bring any of ours. Our kids are grown. Our children are grown.
So it's the end of the season for Stacey and Adam. Adam will move on to baseball and on in the 10 other jobs he's gotten. And
yes.
And Stacey's going to get some well-deserved rest now.
No, Mark, I'm not. Okay, I'm still getting over last night's game, man. I'm not traveling anywhere until June. That's when I think we're going to make a guide trip. I've been telling Whispers. Whispers is in charge of it. He's
always in charge.
He's always in charge. Right. I told him where I wanted to go. He wanted to go to Florida. Who wants to go to Florida in the summertime in June? Yeah. Exactly. We would look like him. I'll be a piece of.
He wants to get some use out of that house he's paying for.
Yeah, exactly.
Some use out of it.
Yeah, exactly. But when I want to go, we can never go. When it's like wintertime, when I want to go, I'm sorry, we're busy. I'm sorry, we're having a CEO is visiting the house and he's got the house for the week and maybe next week. I'll come back next week. Hey man, can I get the house? No, we're remodeling. Maybe next week.
You got to get that T-shirt that looks like a tuxedo again.
See, there you go.
Then you're back.
See, it reminds me. That reminds me. Hey, I've been waiting to get on the boat for 2 years now. Every time, hey, come to Lake Geneva. We got a boat. No. I called him up. Tim, are we gonna get on the boat tonight? No, I'm sorry. It's not ready. But then I find out he went with like 10 other people. Didn't invite me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the way it works.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, bring your white gloves and your tuxedo and serve hors d'oeuvres. That's what he tells me to do, America. And I serve nobody no hors d'oeuvres unless I'm on my back.
You gotta have
okay, and just a reminder, even though the basketball season for the Bulls is over, we will continue bringing you new shows every week. You can catch us on all your favorite podcast carriers, and of course, you can watch us on Chicago Sports Network. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll have a new show next week. Until then,
drive home safely, Chicago. Beat.
He didn't come for the massage, he came for the facial. Does anybody know how to post videos to Facebook? There's a block by reminder to get the invitation. That's a huge three! Mustard! Lonzo left alone. Gimme sauce. Able to swerve, bend that corner. That's the last time I'm going to say it. Williams straight out.